Edo State chapter of the Labour Party has slammed the Obedient movement for backing the All Progressive Congress governorship candidate, Monday Okpebholo, in the forthcoming state elections. The party's publicity secretary, Sam Roba, who berated the move, said it is absurd to hear that Obedient movement is supporting Okpebholo just the way some also said they were Obedient movement for Aswe Ighodalo. The Obedient movement is synonymous with the Labour Party and are integral members of the party, he said. He continued, so how can these people now say they are Obedient members and they are supporting Okpebholo or Ighodalo? For me, they have run out of ideas and do not know what they are doing at this point. Urotba continued to say that they cannot be Obedient movement and work against the party's candidate, Olumide Abata. The Obedient movement in Edo on Monday pledged their support for the APC and its candidates. Recall that another section of the movement a few weeks ago pledged their support for the People's Democratic Party candidate, Aswe Ighodalo. The group, comprising members from the Edo South-South Senatorial District on Monday, said they were supporting Okpebholo because of his close ties with the people. Asim, you are from Edo State.
Yes,
so
a very interesting story from my state.
Interesting story. What is your take on this?
It's just a simple word I want to use. There's a medical procedure, you know. For doctors, they understand what that means. It's called a lobotomy. You know, when a brain surgeon lobotomizes a human brain, he will just take off the frontal lobe of the brain, detach it from the main brain itself. That is the medulla oblongata. He detaches it from it. And the person that particular surgery is done on, that lobotomy is done on, is still alive, technically alive, but cannot reason. He becomes, dissembled. He becomes dismembered in thoughts. He becomes very passive. He cannot really react. He goes away. If he's not very careful, he might even pass out. So the Labour Party is in that particular state right now. They don't have a thinking organ. Labour Party in Edo State, executive ESCOs, they are in comatose. In fact, as I speak with due respect to them, Labour Party is disorganized in Edo State. So many factions here and there. Internecine war, that is, you will find that you have, wars taking place within the party, unnecessary wars. They have, litigation wars also, which the party hierarchy could not resolve amongst their candidates. And some of these arose from the last primaries that were conducted by the party and other political parties in Edo State. Now, in the case of the Labour Party, there was a time they had to able to declare three candidates, aspirants, as candidates that were elected, by the party during that primary election. Foremost among them is, Akpata. Then you now have Ken Imaswagbon. Ken Imaswagbon, was very visible before the emergence or appearance of Olumide Akpata. Ken Imaswagbon was very popular amongst the voting populace in Edo State, especially Edo Central, where we call the Ishan, division of Edo State. He was very popular and visible there, and he has some friends and links, with people in Edo State, Edo North, and even in Edo South. And we thought that that young man, has a very great clout. He's somebody I know very well. I've associated with him in Abuja and even in Benin. So he's popularly referred to as the rice man, because before he forayed into politics, he was a philanthropist of sort, a benefactor to many people. He started all this crusade of helping the needy and the poor, not because of politics as at that time, but because of it took it like a vocation. He even had to establish, some schools in Benin and Abuja where, honestly speaking, you know, students who attend that particular school, if you gain admission to that school, you pay little or nothing, you know, as school fees. And he is saying that he wants to, you know, kind of carry on what Obafemi Awolowo did in the southwest region in those days. So he got all these things into starting, and I believe that at the end of the day, he ought to be somebody that should have been given a chance. But I don't know what happened in their primaries. At the end of the day, he lost out to Olumide Akpata. Well, at the end of the day, I believe that because of that, he went to court. He is challenging the candidacy of Olumide Akpata up till now. I've not heard that he has withdrawn that matter from court. I've not heard that they have come together to come, you know, to amity. I've not heard that they have come together to say, okay, a group is trying to reconcile them within the party. So this particular, you know, occasion, you know, caused while Labour Party, you know, became a disorganized political party in Edo State. I'm not surprised. You know, why I'm not surprised is that, in fact, when you have the kind of party politics we play in Nigeria, that is stoma infrastructure oriented, it is very difficult for you to have men with ideology that will, you know, work as a political party or union. You know, in Nigeria here, the issue of stomach infrastructure holds sway. And that is why you find out that ideology is taken to the background, relegated to the background at the end of the day. Otherwise, you know, for the obedient movement, for a movement that I am still proudly, you know, part of. I remember how we cascaded, how we were able to organize ourselves before and during the elections of last year, and to the extent that Edo State, the Labour Party won the presidential election there by a landslide, you know. But unfortunately, at the center, we couldn't have a P2B as the candidate that emerged, you know. So these are things. We were very organized, and we were all ideologues. We didn't go to or become the members of the obedient movement because of what we were going to get, but because of the fact, you know, that we believe in the ideology and philosophy of the Labour Party and even the movement of P2B as our presidential candidate. You know, finally on this, even in Rivers State here, I worked assiduously, you know, and in congruence, you know, with other like minds of mine to work for BTC Tubo as a governorship candidate as at that time, and even becoming part of the campaign council of, you know, the Labour Party governorship election train. We never did that because of pecuniary gains. We did that because of the ideology and philosophy we shared and believed, and we believe that we could ride on it through the Labour Party and the obedient movement. So in Edo State, what has happened, for me, is not surprising. It's the normal thing that we ought to have, because once you don't have what we put these people together, that altar or whatever, you are bound to have a disintegration that has happened of this monumental proportion. Well, it's okay. It's a game for APC. It's also a game for PDP in Edo State. If the obedient movement can join Okpebholo, for instance, in APC, it's going to swell its rank. If the other faction now decide to join, what's his name, Governorship, it's also going to swell its rank. So at the end of the day, the two parties are the ones gaining from the disorganization of Labour Party. And
Labour Party is the one losing out.
He's the one, they are the one losing out.
All right. Also joining me on the show this morning is Daniel Momo, a political analyst. Good morning, Mr. Daniel. Very quickly, what is your take on the Edo State Labour Party crisis?
Is it a crisis?
Some people, some fraction of the, is that not a crisis? Isn't it going to affect the Labour Party?
No, but I think there are fundamental questions. All right. Are obedient movement members of the Labour Party? That questions must be critically answered. Are they members? If they are members, where and where did they register as member of the Labour Party? The fact that they supported the person of Peter Obi as the presidential candidate does not confound them as members of the Labour Party. That needed to be. I'm not a member of the Labour Party, but the obedient movement has been associated. Association doesn't mean that you are a member of that party. And so for me, the critical question to ask first, if you're having this, and we call it a crisis, are the obedient movement members of the Labour Party? If that question is answered, and then we move to the next one, why then would they not want to back the man who emerges as the candidate for the Labour Party? Remember, what's his name now? This man who normally speaks for them in Edo State. He said that the fair thing to do, and that is the justice that the movement, they refer to themselves as movement, that what the movement is for justice, fairness, and equity. And in terms of those three cardinal things, that the next governor of Edo State ought to come from the Edo Central. That was his thing he said, I think last month or so, when they were having some interviews with him. And so for me, the critical questions to ask, like I said, is that we must find out, are the obedient movement members of the Labour Party?
I think...
okay, let me just quickly say, you see, people in Nigeria today, party members are not the only people that vote in an election. The PDP cannot say that only their members voted for them in Edo State or anywhere at all. The APC cannot say likewise. So what we mean, obedience might not, many of them may not be card-carrying members of a Labour Party. Like myself, I'm not a card-carrying member of Labour Party. But I worked for Labour Party. I am an obedient. If you listen or watch some of my interviews on this station and other areas, where I campaigned vigorously for the candidates of OB and BTC Tubo in River State here. But I was not I'm still not a card-carrying member of Labour Party. Now, looking at the obedient movements are associated with the Labour Party, whether I would like it or not. It's like a movement that has seen itself come into, what we have today. It's just like the Unwoto with Sizwe, Spear of the Nation in South Africa. That is a labor movement that, associates itself with the African National Congress in South Africa. So when elections are coming up, you see that the ANC body will always want to go for and call those members of the movement called Woto with Sizwe, means that a spear of the nation. You understand? They come around to sensitize them and say, come on, come and vote for us. Also in South Africa, there's a party that is associated with Julius Malema. Malema is a political activist. He belongs to TUC. You see, whenever elections are coming, he calls on the labor union in South Africa that this is your time, because they share the same ideology and ideologue and philosophy. So it could be juxtaposed, or it could be really associated that obedience may not be card-carrying members of Labour Party or members of Labour Party, but they sympathize with Labour Party. And that sympathy is what we are talking about now, because without the obedient movement, I don't know whether Labour will have up to 50 members or supporters in Edo State. If you check the register of Labour Party, I checked the one in River State here at that time. Genuine members are registered with their register when I went to the Labour House here. It was not up to 100. But every time we hold meetings, you see thousands coming up. They say, why? You say, no, we're obedient movement, so that's why we are here. So, but on that day, we gave a tough fight. In River State, if I want to say with due respect, from my own opinion, my standard, Labour Party did very well in the elections, in presidential and even the governorship. I'm telling you from records I have. You understand? But let me not upstage the apple cart today. So it is assumed that obedient movements are members of Labour Party, but not card-carrying members. So they are very important.
All right.
Yes, thank you very much.
You see, if they are not card-carrying members, it then means
they are not members of Labour Party.
They are not members.
Yes.
Now, sympathetic membership doesn't...
Honorary membership.
It doesn't confound you. In other words, I cannot be charged for antipathy. I cannot. On any way. And remember, what produces... There were 3 terms used in that election. We have what we call the Baptist, the articulate, and the obedient. The obedient came out from the word Obi, not from the word Labour Party.
It's a movement.
It's a movement of fairness, equity, and justice. So if the people who are members of the obedient movement are saying that in Edo State, because of fairness, because of equity, because of justice, can we allow this set of persons? I think for me, there are no quarrel there.
And Labour Party is not entitled to...
The Labour Party is trying to create that entitlement. No, they are not entitled to you. They were sympathetic to the presidential candidate, who was Peter Obi. So it doesn't now means that after the election, when they see injustice, they should close their eyes to it and follow. So, like I said, the guy who addressed the president said, for fairness, equity, and justice, they are not members of the Labour Party. They are obedient movement. And obedient movement came from the word Obi.
So Labour Party cannot lay claim.
Cannot lay claim. They should not. Anyway. No, Labour Party should not lay claim.
We see the point is, I'm sorry, but I want to say with due respect, nobody. We are in my own assertion. I'm not saying anybody laying claim or maybe punish them for.
No. What I read, sir. What I read.
Activities. I'm coming. The reason why we're even discussing this is because of the fact that the importance of the movement, to any political party in Edo State. That is what I'm saying, that when they leave, the Labour Party is the one that is going to be the loser.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they are going to be the loser, because these are people who presumably we assume that they were going to stand by the party they are known for, in the sense that P2B came to campaign with what's his name, Akpata.
Yes.
And if we are obedient, then and we share the same ideology, which I still share, semblance of ideologies of Labour Party, as the case may be. If I were to be in Benin or maybe in Edo State during the election, I may be forced to say, okay, because of my ideology, I believe, let me give it a try. Let me not waste my vote. Let me give it to Labour Party, as the case may be. But when you now say the movement has now left, I mean, it's like a great support, your great supporter, maybe your financier or your backbone,
your support
he has left you. You cannot hold them responsible for anything. You can't punish them. Of course, we agree with that. But we are talking about the political weight and gains of their leaving Labour Party to another party. So APC and PDP has gained.
They are gaining
in fact, they are getting very fat now, fatter than me and my brother.
Sorry, you see, there was a time where here we had a conversation about the congresses organized by what's his name now? The one they did in an hotel, Aburi. And I said it here, that Labour Party would lose out. Labour Party would have opened up its register for obedient movement to formally register.
And bring them in.
Because like he said, how many persons in Labour Party truly can get you 6 million votes?
It's not possible.
In a national election. And conducting a congress, you went into a hotel and had a congress of about 20-30 persons. When you have opened up the party for all of these persons, both locally, nationally, internationally, to join your party, you close the ranks. And today you want to complain? No.